Well, thank you, Andrea, and I want to thank you and all the volunteers and the workers at NIRH for just never giving up the fight. You have been sounding the alarm literally for years, and people never dreamed that this day would come. But thank God we've had you on the front lines, and so I look forward to continuing strengthening our partnership even going forward. And I also want to acknowledge some of the other participants here today to address this urgent issue, and that is the co-chairs of the Legislative Pro-Choice Caucus, our great friend, Senator Liz Kruger, as well as assigned member Karina's Reyes. And I want to thank them for being on the forefront of this battle as well as Michelle Casey, someone I've known a long time, who's the CEO of Planned Parenthood of Central and Western New York, as well as I want to thank Attorney General Tish James and our legislative sponsors of other ideas that are so important as we work together to ensure that we have the rights enshrined here in our state, but also provide access to abortion. Like millions of Americans, I was horrified by that draft Supreme Court decision that came out last week. Just absolutely unconscionable to fathom what the majority of the Supreme Court is willing to do to something we have taken for granted and relied upon for half a century. And for the sake of women across this country, I hope that that is not the final decision, but I'm going to have to pursue down the assumption that it is going to be. But we will also reestablish here in the state of New York that access to reproductive health care is a human right. And we will defend that right to have an abortion with the full power of New York State government, and will ensure that every single person in need of care receives that care. And will never stop fighting to make sure that New York and women from all over who are seeking safe, accessible abortion service receive them. But to truly ensure that anyone seeking abortion in New York has access to that, we have to ensure that the providers have the resources and the capacity to accommodate all patients who walk through their doors. It's simple. If we're going to guarantee the right to an abortion, you have to guarantee access to an abortion. And I've said last week, we're not just playing defense, we're playing offense. And that's why we're taking immediate action starting today to deliver $35 million in unprecedented funding to urgently support abortion providers to provide this access and this vital care. The Abortion Services Provider Fund will get immediate help, resources for their clinics, while safeguarding access. And this is a nation-leading response. There's been a lot of talk about doing something, but here in New York, those who know us, we don't just talk, we take action. So today, I'm directing the Department of Health to create New York's first fund ever to support abortion providers. $25 million will expand capacity and access for patients seeking abortion care, largest fund of its kind in our nation. One other state has a similar fund, but nowhere near the scale. We're the first large state to launch this direct support for abortion providers here in the state of New York. But in addition to this direct support to the providers to make sure that they can be prepared for what will be an influx of patients, we also have to make sure that these facilities are safe, that the workers who go there, the clinical staff, the healthcare providers, the doctors, as well as the patients, know that they are safe when they walk down the street and enter the doors, because we are in a very different time right now. So we are announcing $10 million in security grants for reproductive health care centers. And no one should feel unsafe accessing health care, abortion care, and no one should feel unsafe providing that health care as well. So we have to be proactive. We have to get these security measures in place now. And we have seen the threats and actually the action of anti-abortion violence, and the climate is getting more extreme every single day. So it's only going to get worse as this decision is rendered in the next few weeks, and we need to be ready, and we will be ready here in the state of New York. In the meantime, we'll continue to explore every option available in the short term and the long term, working with our providers, our legislators, and our advocates on many different proposals. Today is about taking action. However, we'll take it action, not just talk about it in the future, but take it right now. So there's an urgent need to provide this access. I'm really proud that New York will lead the nation, hopefully set an example for the other states to realize that all of us have a responsibility to welcome with open arms those who need these services, as well as make sure New Yorkers, New York women have complete access without wait times, that they don't have their services disrupted either. We've been fighting this battle for far too long, my friends. This was a battle my mother had to fight in her 30s. It's a battle I had to fight when I was in my 30s. Now my daughter Katie in her 30s. This is a fight that her generation is dealing with as well. But I sure as heck want to make sure that we don't have this battle still lingering when my brand new granddaughter Sophia is in her 30s. So we are laying down the marker today. We are saying that we refuse to go backwards. We have fought too long and hard for this access and for these rights. And New York has always led the way when it comes to enshrining these kind of rights. When you think about the women, it's the courageous women at Seneca Falls, all those who demanded autonomy over their bodies and the right to not be held as property of a husband. We like to think we've come a long way, but I feel we're going backwards and not forward in this country. That is why we are called upon as New York women. New York women have to continue to lead this fight with our male allies and throw down the gauntlet and say, no more, we're not going backwards. We know that here in the state of New York, we had access to abortion rights 3 years before Roe v. Wade. And we saw a huge influx of people come here at that time. Now we have to be ready. And I'll tell you, this is deeply personal. As the first female governor of the state of New York, this is a fight I am willing to take on. We'll roll up our sleeves and let people know where our values are. We're not backing down and will not stand idly by when rights of women across the entire nation are destroyed. So I am proud that we are able to be continuing these battles. In 2019, we took the major step of ensuring that our state law has codified the rights within Roe v. Wade. I was proud to preside over the Senate at that time. It was a huge, huge point of pride for all of us in 2019. And earlier this past month, we made sure that our budget reflected those same values and said that insurance companies must cover abortion services as well. So we're going to keep examining our regulations, make sure that our laws are being enforced. We also are calling on social media companies to fight misinformation. We did that last fall when I stood with Senator Gillibrand in Central Park, saying that these platforms have to make sure that the lies stop. We see how lies like the big lie can perpetrate and be penetrated through society. We have to stop the lies about abortion access and what that's all about. And we're calling on the federal government at a time when we have Democrats in charge to not just codify Roe v. Wade themselves nationally, but also repeal the Hyde Amendment so support can go to women all across this nation to receive something that we consider a basic human right. So today is not our first countermeasure in the fight being waged against denying abortion access. We'll keep playing offense. It's where I'm most comfortable on the playing field, being aggressive on these issues, and we'll do whatever it takes to defend the rights of not just New York women, but women all across this nation. New York will be there. We'll be there for them, provide essential health care. And so we finally say, don't mess with the state of New York. We're putting in the resources in place to make sure our providers and our patients have whatever they need to exercise those very basic human rights. So thank you very much. And I appreciate everyone who's joining this battle, and we are ready.